Tubi has a shit ton of new horror movies on their platform this month, so let's go through some recommendations and movies you definitely want to add to your watch list. First up is Spree, starring Joe Keery as an influencer wannabe who decides to take a job as a rideshare driver, and he decides to film his escapades. And over the course of the night, things take a very dark and disturbing turn. Joe Keery is so likable and immediately charming. You immediately like him, so it's interesting to see him take his nice guy persona and kind of switch it up a bit, and he comes off really creepy and cringy at the perfect moments in this. And I just think the overall messaging behind the film is really fun, and it has some really cool moments. Next up is Watcher, starring Micah Monroe. This is a horror thriller about a young woman who moves to a new country with her husband, and she begins feeling like she's being stalked and watched by someone, but no one really believes her. They think she's just kind of having anxiety and dealing with a lot of stress from the new move. This one is really good at slowly building up that sense of dread and paranoia, and you start to question if what the character is seeing is actually happening, and then it all culminates to a really devastating finale. I think Micah Monroe is fantastic in this movie. It's just filled with dread and atmosphere, and as a woman you watch it knowing that many women have been in this situation where they are being stalked, but nothing is really done about it until it's too late. So it's just a horrifying, almost too real look into a lot of things that women have to face, and it's horrifying. Drive Back is an interesting one. This is from 2024, and it's about a couple who are about to have a baby. They've just gotten engaged, and they're driving home from their engagement party, and they find themselves on this road that is seemingly endless, and they keep going in circles, and while they're on this road, weird, strange stuff starts happening. This one has a dead end feel to it, and there's a lot of stuff that goes on that gets a little confusing for me, but I think it's an interesting look at a toxic relationship and how those behaviors in those kinds of relationships kind of become cyclical, and you find yourself on a rotating wheel sort of thing, like a hamster wheel. But I think the story, it's interesting. I think it's worth watching. But there are issues with it, but I think that a lot of you might like this one, especially if you liked movies like Dead End, except this one is a lot darker. Revenge from 2017. This is about a young woman who is with her boyfriend, and he has a few friends over, and essentially she gets SA'd and left for dead. But she rises from the ashes like a phoenix, and she comes back for revenge, and she gets it in the most satisfying ways. She's drenched in blood, she's strong, she is just a badass, and by the end of this movie you will just be so happy to watch her growth. It's really hard to watch because she's going through some difficult stuff, but it's so beautifully shot. It's from director Coralie Fargo, who did The Substance, and the lead actress is really great. I don't think she even really speaks that much, but she conveys so much emotion through her eyes and just her physical performance alone, and you really go on this dark journey of revenge with her. The Beach House is about two college sweethearts who head to a beach house for a little trip, and when they get there they see that it's occupied by someone else, so they decide to stay with this couple, and soon things around them in the environment outside start to change and get really weird. This one is an eco horror, so a lot of the horror comes from the environment around them and these weird creatures that the couple have to deal with to fight to survive, and it's very Lovecraftian. It feels like out of this world. It's got a lot of great atmosphere and dread, and the cast is really excellent, and I love the build up to the craziness that they experience, and there's some gross body horror moments as well that I think a lot of you will really like. Exhibit A is a found footage horror movie about this young girl who gets a camcorder from her parents, and she's essentially documenting their everyday lives. Soon you start to realize that something is off with the dad because he's acting strangely, and even the daughter begins to question it, and this movie leads up to one of the most devastating conclusions ever. I think this one is brutal, it's bleak, and it feels very real. What we see happen in this film does happen a lot, and you kind of get the psychological aspects of it where you're getting to see why this person is acting the way they are and why things kind of take the turn that they do, and you can feel it coming, you can anticipate it. The dread is just palpable, and it's so sad to watch, but it's so well done. Like, you feel like you're watching a real family home video, and this is one of the better found footage horror movies that I've ever watched, and I'm so happy that it's on Tubi because now you all can watch it too. Barbarian, which was one of my favorite horror movies of the year it came out, I think it was 2022. This is about a young woman who is staying at an Airbnb, but when she gets there, it's already occupied by somebody else. And instead of leaving, he invites her in to stay because she's got nowhere else to go. And everything starts off fine and dandy, and then everything goes to hell real quick. And this movie will surprise you every step of the way because it does not go where you're expecting it to go. And there's a hard shift like halfway through the movie where you're like, am I still watching the same movie? And it gets really weird. There's lots of humorous stuff to it as well, and the performances by everyone are fantastic. I love everything about this movie because the story is unique, it's interesting, and it's just wild. It's batshit crazy, and it also has great music. I love the end credit song, it's perfect, and I am so excited for what director Zach Kreger is going to come out with next. It's Weapons, and it looks damn good. And the trailer came out, but I can guarantee that the trailer is not telling us everything because the Barbarian trailer made it seem like a generic movie. You go into the movie, it is not generic at all. So now you can watch it on Tubi. We still don't have it available on DVD or Blu-ray yet though, so maybe that's coming one day. Who knows? Tusk is a 2014 horror film from Kevin Smith about a young man who goes to interview this older gentleman, and when he gets there, this guy decides that he is going to turn him into a walrus. This movie, it is so ridiculous and weird, and it is just the weirdest body horror movie I could ever expect, and it's very unsettling what happens to Justin Long's character in this story. To be forced into this situation by someone, it's just horrifying. This movie is bizarre, it's crazy. I don't even know if it's really that good, but it did something special. It did something different, and it will haunt me forever. Let me know, do you like this one? I think we all have a little space for Tusk in our heart. Forget Me Not from 2009 is a little hidden gem, I would say. This is about a group of high school friends, although they all look like they're in their 30s. They're about to graduate from high school, they're celebrating at a party, and they decide to go play this game they all played when they were kids in the graveyard. Basically like tag. But the person who's it is a ghost, and they have to tag out all the other people and turn them into ghosts, and the person who's left standing is the winner, and they are alive. They're not a ghost. And when they decide to play this game this time, a girl, she pops out from a gravestone. She's like, hey, can I play? And they're like, sure. And then she kind of disappears, and it's traumatic. And then after that, all of the friends who played this game start to get killed off one by this girl who, surprise, surprise, she's a ghost. And then once they die, everyone around them forgets they ever existed. The world changes. And I think it's just, this movie is very flawed. The acting is like shaky. It is very early 2000s with some of the just inappropriate like horniness of some of the characters. Some of the dialogue is just, it's a little offensive. But I like the idea of this ghost story. I think that it's just unique the way it plays out, like a game of tag. This ghost is chasing them all down, and our lead character is trying to figure out who this ghost is because she realizes this girl, she knows them. So watching her on this journey as she realizes people around her are forgetting her friends and there's a ghost after them, it's just really cool. I think that there is some wonky CGI stuff, but overall, I think this one's fun. I have a place in my heart for this because it's a movie that came on back in the day when I was like browsing through the movie channels, and I feel like you can't do that anymore. Like, you can, but it's not the same. And when you find something on those channels, it's just something special about it when you catch it when it's on, and this is one of those. I think that it's definitely worth checking out, but no, it's not the best, but it's kind of cool. The Hole from 2009 is a Joe Dante horror movie that is more kid-friendly. This is about two brothers who move into a new house, and they find this hole in their house that leads to hell, basically. All of these creatures and monsters are in there, and they start to get unleashed on them. I think this one is really fun. It's a very good kind of entry gateway horror. It reminds me a lot of The Gate, and it's just got great characters, a great cast, and I love watching these kids go on this journey and trying to get over their fears, and it's just fun, man. Fall from 2022 is a really fun psychological horror thriller about two girls who have experienced a really traumatic event, and in order for one of them to get over it, the other brings her along to basically climb up this big ass tower. Yeah, it seems like a bad idea because it is a bad idea. So they get up to the top of this tower and they get stuck at the top of it, and there's no cell service, there's no one around for miles. They're stuck, they're fucked, and they have to figure out how to survive and get off this tower. So there's a lot of really fun moments of this involving drones. There's lots of climbing involved, and you feel the heights in this horror movie. Like, I'm afraid of heights, and my adrenaline was pumping throughout this whole thing because I just couldn't imagine putting myself in this situation. Like, even from them climbing up the ladder, that was getting to me because it's insane, and the wind is blowing, and one of the characters is more like a daredevil YouTuber, so she like puts herself in danger like for fun, and the moments of the drone like showing how much height they have, like how high they are, took my breath away. I think that the two characters are fun to watch. It's fun to watch them kind of go through hell, and there's stuff with vultures that come into play and a lot of other stuff. There's some interesting story character stuff in there between father and daughter that I really liked, and overall I think it's really fun, and if you're looking for a fun popcorn movie, throw this one on. Hostile Dimensions from 2023 is a found footage horror movie about a group of people who are investigating a young woman's disappearance who seemingly disappeared into another dimension, and they discover these doors that will lead them into different dimensions. So we follow them as they go through dimension from dimension, and things get pretty bad for them, and they have to figure out how to get to safety. I really love this one. It's from the same team behind Death of a Vlogger, and I think that it's very low budget, it's got its issues, and there is some CGI, but I think the story itself is really creative and fun, and it just feels big in scale. I think had they had a bigger budget, they would have been able to do a lot more cooler things with it, but I was impressed with what they were able to accomplish with what they had. I think that if you like found footage, you should definitely give this one a try, especially if you love Death of a Vlogger. This one is different in tone. It's a little bit sillier and funnier, but overall I think it's just as good. The Ceremony is About to Begin is a 2024 found footage horror about this young guy who receives a letter from this girl he dated a while ago, and she's basically asking him for help because she's in this cult, and he kind of essentially drops everything to go to this cult and find her. And when he gets there, he's greeted by this leader who is just like this weird guy, and he's documenting the whole process. This one, I think, has a really great concept that ultimately did not work for me, but there are some cool things about it. It gets a little silly and ridiculous towards the end. There's a lot of Egyptian stuff at its core and mummies, and I just love the idea, and I wish they could have executed it just a little bit better, But I still think it's worth watching, especially now that it's on Tubi, because I know that a lot of people did like this, and I think you might like it too if you check it out. It's a little slow. The guy is interesting. It's got that creep feel to it where you're not sure, is this guy good? Is he bad? And then our character is kind of led into this kind of dark place. So it's an interesting one. King of Ants from 2003 is more of a psychological thriller. This is about a guy who's kind of just like this basic schlub who gets kind of wrapped up in this weird murder plot. After he completes the task, he finds that he was lied to and he wants his money. And unfortunately, these guys that he gets involved with are really bad guys, and he finds himself being tortured, and things get really dark and disturbing. This one is very low budget. It has it's directed by Stuart Gordon, so it has a Stuart Gordon feel to it with some moments that really do feel like a horror movie where our character is having these nightmarish hallucinations. There's a lot of great practical effects in this as well, a lot of gore moments and just gross moments. And overall, I think it's an interesting, dark, noir kind of story that goes in directions I wasn't expecting. It also stars George Wendt, aka Norm from Cheers, who just passed away. So RIP to him. Watch this in his honor. The Cleansing Hour from 2019 is about two guys who stage fake exorcisms for social media, and unfortunately for one of these stunts, their girlfriend gets really possessed and they don't realize it at first, and then things get really dark for them, okay? Things don't go well. This one is fun. It's a fun take on the exorcism subgenre. We have a lot of exorcism movies, so when somebody can do something unique with it, it's always a plus. Plus, it stars Kyle Gallner, and I love him, and we all do, okay? So if you want your Kyle Gallner fix, you can get it for free now. And there you have it. Those are some movies that have dropped on Tubi recently that you definitely should check out. There are so many more on here. I'm still making my way through my watch list. So if there's any hidden gems on there that you think I might like, please let me know in the comments below. I love found footage horror movies, so if there's any new ones that you have checked out on there, please tell me, because I can't get enough, okay? Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you next time. Bye.